Let us explore the meditation classic Radical Creativity and then meditate like a Jedi. I would like to begin by reciting the passage, followed by the explanation of the passage, and then conclude once again with the simple recitation. On the delusive, extremist path, thinking I and mine, deluded innocence entered a structured path of Dharma practice. With no chance to realize that it leads nowhere. How can reality ever be found by actively seeking? Okay, let's dig in. So, consider the phrase deluded innocence. It has a twofold meaning. Number one, we are all ignorant of something, usually many things. The modifier innocence is important. It helps us to remember that just because someone is ignorant, that's not an indictment on their heart, just an indictment on their mind. I couldn't fix a internal combustion engine of my life depended on it because I hate cars. That's just because I'm ignorant of the matter. An example of delusion would be trapping ourselves, limiting ourselves, compressing our experience in terms of identity. So, for instance, one could say, I live in America, I was born in America, or they could say, I am an American. They could say, I feel angry, or I am angry. Can you see how one is softer and the other is very, very rigid and confining and seeks to put us into a little teeny box? The solution, the antidote to that is as follows. As we relax into our exhalation, thanks to our parasympathetic nervous system at the very top and the very bottom of our spinal cord, all that we noticed during our previous inhalation, thanks to the middle bit of our spinal cord, could fleetingly feel less stressful, less permanent, and less defining. So this is not a question of blind faith or superstitious faith. This is not a question of comprehending an arcane treatise. It's simply a matter of us cooperating with the autonomic nervous system, that is our spinal cord in totality, in a manner that is vulnerable, passive, visceral, random, and fleeting. By simply cooperating, we cannot help but, at least fleetingly, disengage ourselves from limiting labels. The easiest way to do this would be for us to silently and mentally recite the verb watch each time we feel our chest swell with air, and to silently and mentally recite the verb rest each time we feel our chest subtly sink as gently we exhale. All of us are limited by labels. That is not an indictment. Doesn't mean we're bad people. Just means we haven't been trained. And to explain that a bit further, once again, I wish to drag you, kicking and screaming, to another diagram. For more than 300,000 years, rephrase that. For almost 300,000 years, our Paleolithic ancestors enjoyed cultures that reinforced being flexible, loving, rational, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind. However, since the advent of proto-capitalism during the Neolithic Revolution, approximately 10,000 years ago, culture has done a 180 and has since trained us to be rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. This rigidity, this fear, this elitism labels us and limits us and compresses us. It would be weird if we didn't wind up this way. But fortunately, for the last 2,500 years or so, there have been great luminaries who have worked to help us to access the remedy within, the remedy that we've been trained not only to ignore, but to actively repress. The reason why the Buddha was able to assure his students that one could master his path in as suddenly as 7 days is because all we're doing is ceasing to oppose our own autonomic nervous system and instead cooperate with it. Deluded into innocence, enter a structured path of Dharma practice with no chance to realize that it leads nowhere. How can reality ever be found? By actively seeking. So, Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks. At least it has since the Neolithic Revolution. And so, since the majority of the members of the human race, including meditation teachers, have become rigid and fearful and controlling and elitist, often with the best of intentions, they've put together these very complicated paths. There's a synonym I want to use for complication. Byzantine. These very complicated Byzantine paths. Sometimes it's talking about 10 levels, sometimes it's talking about 27 levels. I'm reminded of something that was said by Albert Einstein. Any educated idiot can make things more complicated, more difficult, more violent. However, it takes a lot of courage and a touch of genius to move in the opposite direction. In the Theravada path, people chase jhanas and trances. They seek to memorize trivia. We see trivia chasers in Mahayana and also Tantriana. In Vajrayana, we see also people chasing trances. And very, very cranky teachers prolonging the path for as long as possible. But remember, the Buddha said this deal could be done in as easily as a week. All we got to do is cooperate with our tendencies to watch and rest in harmony with our inhalations and exhalations. And everything else could take care of itself. And so a frequent theme in all the treatise composed by Prahevajra was that actively seeking does far more harm than good. You see, the more we watch and rest in harmony with our inhalations and exhalations, maybe once every 12 hours or so, the more our choices and utterances and deeds begin to flow. Not from calculated contrivance, not from wild scatteredness, but instead from love's deeply centered spontaneity. The love we think we need is already wired within us. Its antithesis, the fear and the aggression, is also wired within us. But the more we watch and rest in harmony with our breathing, the more our anxiety and aggression is calmed, the more our love is gently stimulated. The path is as easy. The path is the easiest thing in the world. Having completed our opening lesson, we can now shift gears. It is Rey Skywalker, Sunday mid-morning. At least it is here in Southern California. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi after about 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is the Dzogchen Sende Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School for more than 30 years. I have harnessed my autistic special interests as well as my ADHD hyperfocus to spend about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that I can become your personal, nerdy, neurodivergent guide to nirvana. Welcome, my friends, to meditate like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Together, let us sit and breathe and watch and rest. And of course, the moment you have a specific question about the philosophies or techniques of Taoism, Buddhism, Dzogchen, Zen, Tantra, or Mahamudra, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window, where I tend to check for questions about every 5 to 10 minutes. Let us rest the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger upon the tip of our left middle finger, palms up in our lap. Well, that was harsh. You've taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In about 3 1/3 hours, I would very much like to return to today's third exploration of the meditation classic Radical Creativity, as well as Meditate Like a Jedi. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.